Welcome back to Top of Mind. My name is Hayley and today we have a solo episode. And I'm super excited for this solo episode because it is something that has come up the last couple of weeks for me a lot. And it is the idea of rejection and value. Now, this one mindset shift has helped me so much when it comes to how I view rejection, how I view value, and how I manage to continue showing up without letting rejection get in the way of every day, every week, every month, every year. Because there are going to be moments that you're going to be rejected in business. There are going to be more moments that you'll be rejected in business than you'll be accepted in business, at least for the first couple of years. And coming to terms with how to deal with rejection was a really big part of me running my business. Now, let's talk about rejection because every business owner, creator, service provider, product owner will face it. But what if I told you that it's not personal? You just have to apply the designer bag theory. And that is what today's podcast episode is going to be about today. It is the designer bag theory. Now, this is a theory that I've come up with myself. It is how I manage and how I see rejection and value and how that plays a role, and the mindset shift I had to undergo to be okay with it. So I want to share the analogy with you. The designer bag theory is all about this idea that you walk into any designer shop, whether it's Prada, Chanel, Loewe, Louis Vuitton, whatever it is. You walk into a designer shop and you go, right, I'm going to get a $3,000 bag, or I want that designer bag. When you go in, you ask how much the bag is. They then tell you it's $3,000. In that moment, you, as a consumer, have a decision to make. And that decision is, do I want to part with my $3,000 because I value this bag and I see value in this bag? Or am I going to hold on to my $3,000 and go and get a cheaper bag somewhere else that perhaps doesn't have the designer feel or touch to it? That is the decision point in which you go, do I see enough value in this bag to purchase it and spend the $3,000? Or do I walk away? This is the exact same decision that your potential customers make every single day. Do I see value in this product? Am I willing to part with my cash or my money for this particular product? Now, what I want you to understand is that your customers make this decision every single time they say, yes, I'm purchasing it, or no, not today, thank you. And that's okay if you're going to have some people that will say, not today, not my cup of tea, not for me. I don't see value in it. It doesn't mean that there's not value in it. And I want to be really clear with that. So the designer bag theory is about this idea that you go in, you ask how much the bag is, they say $3,000, and then you go, okay, am I going to part with my $3,000 or am I not? There will be some people that will go, yes, take my $3,000. I see so much value in this. And then there'll be others that go, I don't see value in this. I'm going to go and buy a much cheaper alternative. Thanks very much. Quick pause for a second. I just want to quickly interrupt to ask you one thing. If you are loving the content that you are listening to, make sure you hit subscribe or leave a review. I want to keep these podcast episodes ad-free for as long as possible, and the only way that I can do that is by you guys subscribing or leaving a great review or sharing it with a friend. So that's all I ask of you today. Now back to the episode. And that is the way that you have to look at your product, your business, your service. Is there will be some people that see value in it and there'll be some people that don't. You have to see yourself as a designer bag. And there'll be some people that are happy to spend the money on your product or your service. And then there'll be some people that won't be happy. So that is the top line, the overview of the designer bag theory. That is how I tell myself that not everyone is for you. Not everyone will see the value in what you do, and that's okay. So the designer bag theory, it's the analogy of, do you see value in it or do you not? Some people will spend the money on the designer bags, some people will not. The kicker is, at no point does the sales assistant or the shop assistant in any of those designer stores, go, when you say, oh, you know what, it's not for me today, it's probably just outside of my budget. At no point does that salesperson then go, oh, you know what, why don't I give you $800 off? Because I know how bad you want it. At no point does that salesperson say, oh, well, why don't I give you your first one for 50% off as long as you promise to buy another one from us? They just say, thanks, have a good day. And that is how the shift of value and rejection, in my mind, really worked for me, because there are going to be people that don't buy your product or don't see value in your product. And there are going to be people that do. By discounting yourself to try and get that sale across the line, it's never going to end well, because you're just going to attract people that want more discounts. So from my point of view, the designer bag theory is a really good reminder that not everyone can afford your services, and that's okay, because your service, any service or product, is a luxury for the most part. If you can't afford that service or that product, that's okay. I will wait until I find somebody that can, or my ideal customer. Now, one thing I want to really touch on here is that value isn't universal. It is perceived. It is how somebody perceives it. You might have one person that looks at that designer bag and goes, that's a bit of me and I'm happy to part with $3,000. And then there'll be another person that goes, you spent how much on a bag? And it's just a bag, and it's, doesn't go up in value, or it doesn't, there's that other person that doesn't see value in that. So value is not universal. And just because somebody doesn't perceive your product or service as valuable, it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. Like I said, some people will see $3,000 worth of craftsmanship, branding, identity, status. Others just see a bag. The same goes for your product or your service. Not everyone will see that same value, and that does not mean that there is no value within your product. Now, the reason that I want to share this theory with you is because I'm so sick and tired of hearing people selling to the wrong person. They're like, should I give that person a discount because they're interested but they just don't have the money? No. Like I said, you would never see a designer bag shop assistant or a designer shop assistant saying, please, please, please buy the product. I'm happy to give you a discount. They just go, come back when you have more money or when you perceive value in what we've got to offer you. They don't drop their rates because they know who they are, they know who their ideal customer is, and they stand by it. Great brands don't explain their worth to people who don't get it, because the people that do get it are their ideal customer and they're first in line. The more time you spend convincing the wrong person, the less time you have time to serve the right ones. I'm going to say that again. The more time you spend convincing the wrong person that your product or your value or your business is worth it, the less time you have to serve the right ones. And I constantly think of this thing that my mum told me when I was single. I had this big king size bed, and I used to always fold my clothes and put them very neatly on one side of the bed because I don't move when I sleep. And I would always have that side of the bed full of clean clothes, but just folded, because I was like, I'm going to use them in a couple of days' time, and I just wouldn't bother putting them away. And my mum said to me, she's like, how do you expect to fill that spot when it's full of your clothes? And I hate that she was right, but it's the same with your business. If you are spending your time servicing and begging people, the wrong people, to use your product or buy your service, you do not make space for the right customers, and you will lose the right customers because you're too busy over servicing the wrong customers. If you are loving this episode, don't forget to leave a comment or hit that subscribe button. You have no idea how much it means for podcasters like me to get a like or subscribe, because it means that we can get better guests and we can get into more ears of people to help talk to them about marketing, social media, and personal branding. Now back to the episode. So make sure you're selling to the right person. The people who will get it will hand over their money without hesitation because they already see that value. Do not feel as though you have to beg or discount your product or your service to get in the hands of the right person. So the designer bag theory is there for you to help reframe rejection and value. When someone says no, I want you to reframe it and go, that's not my customer, and that's okay, because not everyone is going to be my customer. Remember that every no that you get will get you closer to a yes. Sales 101 is get as many people into the top of the funnel, aware of you, figuring out who you are, because then as they trickle down that funnel from awareness to contemplating purchase to purchase, awareness, it's consideration, then purchase. The brain is switched on today. As it trickles down that funnel, you'll have more people coming out the bottom of that converting. If you only have one person going in the top, the chance that that one person is going to convert at the bottom, very slim. So every no that you get, it's kind of like the Harry Potter sorting hat. It goes, oh, you're not for me, you're not for me, as it trickles down that funnel, and as you get closer to the bottom, you find your ideal customer. Now, if you're sitting there being like, I don't know who my ideal customer is, that's okay. What I suggest, a really easy way to figure out your ideal customer is find those clients in a service-based business or find those customers in a product-based business that actually get and understand what you're doing, see value in what you're doing, and ask them what they like about the business. Ask them why they decided to work with you or buy your product. Because your customer insights is where you're going to find that magic. That is where you're going to find that little nugget of information that you're like, that's my ideal customer. That's how I know that I found my ideal customer. So every no gets you closer to a yes. I need you to use rejection as data, and that is all you're going to use it for. Do not use it to beat yourself up. Do not use it to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, out the window. Use it as data. Ask yourself, did I market to the wrong audience? Is there clarity missing on how I communicate value? Or are they just simply not your person, and do I need to keep moving on? So when you get a no, reframe it. Go, that's not my customer, that's okay. I'm a designer bag and not everyone is for me. Every no gets you closer to a yes, and I need you to use the rejection as data. Ask yourself, did I market to the wrong audience? Do I need to communicate my value more clearly? Or are they simply not my audience? Now, one thing I want to be clear on is that not all no's are equal. And what I mean by that is some no's are a mismatch of value perception. Others are feedback that your offer could be clearer, stronger, or better targeted. So rejection can actually be one of your most valuable growth tools if you listen to the right parts. I'll use my business as an example. When someone comes to me and they say, I need you to help me with my marketing, or I need you to help me with this event coming up. We go, okay, no problems. We take a brief, we share some costs, a scope of work based on what they've asked from us. If they then come back and go, oh, this is well out of my price range, I will have a very simple conversation with them saying, hey, having someone look after your marketing or run an event for you, it is a luxury service. And you have a choice right now to either invest your own time doing that and learning how to do it properly, which might come with some failures or some lessons along the way, or you could pay someone that is really good at that, but you're gonna have to part with the cash to do it. So at that point, it's an educational conversation around, you can learn how to do this, because I'm not arguing with you that the thing that you're asking me to do is not Googleable. Everyone can Google what we do. But do you want to invest your time in learning how to do it, or do you just want to pay for somebody to do it who already knows how to do it? And that's where you've got to weigh up these options of, do I want to spend my time, or do I want to invest my money? And that goes for all service-based businesses, right? Do I want to invest my time learning how to do it or doing it myself? Yes or no? If the answer is, yeah, I'm okay investing my time, then find someone who can help point you in the right direction. We also do that with clients. If time is important to you and you want to outsource it, then you have to be willing to part with the cash to go for it. Now, in a number of instances, we've had clients that have gone off and found cheaper alternatives. And guess what? 6 months later, 12 months later, they're knocking back on our door being like, this person let me down, or I paid for them to do it and it's not to the standard that I wanted it. Can we start again? And I live and breathe the saying, the poor man pays twice. If you are looking for the cheapest option to do something well, it's never going to end well for you. And I'm telling you that right now. You have to make a decision between your time and whether that's more valuable or your money. Having said that, as a service-based business, we pride ourselves on being able to provide a scope of work or a solution that fits within a budget that you've given us, not the other way around. So we always try and work to a client's budget and match a solution to a client's budget, as opposed to saying, hey, this is how much it's going to cost, take it or leave it. But it's that conversation, right? Sometimes a rejection, that no, is a mismatch of that value perception. But in other instances, they just might not see the value in it because you've not been clear or really strong or targeted to your audience in terms of the value that you are giving. So not all no's are equal. And rejection can actually be one of your most valuable growth tools if you listen to the right parts. I am quickly interrupting to let you know that all of the good stuff lives in our emails. Cheat sheets, exclusive events, workshops that we run for our community that are centered around marketing, social media, and personal branding. You can sign up for our emails in the show notes. Back to the episode. Now, the key takeaways that I want you to leave with today for any business, product, or service owner. This also can be applied to people job hunting or looking for their next step in their career. You are not for everyone, and that's the point. If you are targeting your business to everybody, you are going to find nobody. So be really clear with who your ideal customer is and go for them. The goal is not to convince anyone. There will be people that see value in your product, business, or service, and there'll be people that won't. And you need to make peace with that. The goal is to build a brand so clear in its value that the right people say yes easily. So you need to work on building a brand that people understand the value. The perceived value is what they get and they want to take away, and they want all in. But that'll be to your right customer. The last takeaway that I want to leave you with is be the designer bag, not the bargain bin. And I know that may be many people's mantras after listening to this episode. Be the designer bag, do not be the bargain bin. Do not drop your rates just because somebody can't afford it. Especially service-based businesses, it actually blows my mind that there are so many people in service-based businesses that get asked on a daily basis, oh, could you drop your price to this? Or if we sign on for 10 months, can we drop your price to this? And there is only a small amount of time that that is acceptable. But you would never go to a restaurant and go, oh, I love the $90 steak, but I've only got $50. So if I put up a picture and post about it, would be okay with that? You don't go to a cafe and go, I can't afford my almond milk extra hot cider vanilla coffee, and then go, oh, but I've only got $3. Any chance you could give me a discount today? So I just don't understand why people have the mindset of asking for a discount as a service-based business. You have a service that you are offering as a luxury in exchange for somebody's time. And that comes with a cost. Be the designer bag, don't be the bargain bin. So next time somebody says no, remember they're not choosing to buy the bag. That's it. And it's not your cue to discount it. It's your cue to wait for the right person to see value straight away. And I really wanted to share this with you because it resonated with a bunch of people when I shared it with them over the last couple of weeks. If this has helped you reframe rejection, please let me know. If you have any questions that come up off the back of this, please let me know. Send me a DM. Our Let's Chat episodes is where I answer all of your questions that you send me, because if you have a question, the likelihood that somebody else has a question is super high. Share it with a fellow business owner, founder, somebody looking for their next job and they're getting rejection or they're facing rejection. And I hope that this changes the way in which you see rejection and that you actually use it for what it is good for. It helps you understand your value and stand by your value instead of discounting yourself. So if this has been helpful, please let me know, because I love hearing your feedback about the podcast. I had someone come up to me last week telling me how much they loved a particular episode, and I've never met this person before in my life. And honestly, it makes my day knowing that someone has gained something or it has been helpful for someone in some way. So please share it with someone that it might help. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to share everything that I've learned in my career to date, but also in the journey of building a couple of businesses. I hope you found value in it, and I will see you on the next pod.